Today is Friday, June 3rd, Erev Shabbat Parshat Bamidbar, and then leading into Shavuot. I want to take a few minutes with you to get a picture of, literally, get a picture of what the experience in the encampment of Israel was. The Torah actually lays it out for us. We have some sense that in the center of the encampment would be the Mishkan, and then Levium surrounding, and then the 12 tribes. And at some point a few years ago, I taught this topic, and I collected a number of different versions of diagrams. And as you look at the diagrams, you have some very different impressions of what took place. Let's take a look at a few of those. So here are a few that I'm going to share with you, and we'll see what we think of them. Let's actually enlarge the screen for a moment and see how it works. So here's a sort of a nice, I guess this is like a Ben and Jerry's almost version of it. You can try to imagine. We got little flags for each of these tribes. Got the Mishkan in the middle. It's as if the Mishkan were the same size as each of these tribes. But okay, that's like sort of one way to imagine it. This is going to be sort of just a diagram that you can allow yourself to say. So it's just they circle it, and so you create these 4 divisions of the camps. Okay, we need to uncheck these. Sorry about that. And so let's go to this one, right? This is nice and neat and tight. You have some sense of the larger amounts of people that we're describing. Each of these tribes almost looks like a tefillin box, but it's very well organized in this rendering. You come to something like this, and you have a different picture, right? This is like the rough reality, truthfully, of what, okay, this is what a camp really must have been like. There's a hustle bustle of a camp, and that's the image that you might have again, this is nice and even. This is much more rugged, and so those are images. When I mentioned before that for example, this one doesn't give you a real sense of size at all. They just have a few flags for like you're in a small little sleepaway camp, but the numbers are very different from tribe to tribe by the time we're done, and they're going to add up differently. And so we imagine how many people really are on each side. And so even though this would be, again, so the tribes just line up nice and even, all surrounding, I'll give you one other image which will startle you. Okay, because you have some sense of a larger size, for example, of Yehuda here, trying to figure out the numbers. This is also created, but suddenly you realize, oh, this has another feel to it, doesn't it? And I'll give you one that when I came across, and I was really dumbfounded when I saw it. It's this one. Let's uncheck this. I can turn it for you so you'll have a better sense. And I try to imagine the 4 images on the holy throne, but when you lay it out this way, 151,000 on that side, 157,000, that's a pretty even. 108,000 people, that's 186. It takes the form of a religious symbol, which is not ours at all. So those are very different experiences, are they not? As we try to imagine and envision the encampment of Israel, and for some, for Christians who will look at this text, they'll feel a Christian feel to what happened there, and that's not our feel, obviously. Our feel, though, has to be something. And if in the center, if you don't create the cross, which we don't, there's still a sense that there is a very powerful religious component. The way the encampment was set up was that people would be all the tribes would be mineged saviv la'ol mineged at some distance, saviv la'ol. That's our experience. We as Jews have to imagine our encampment and the way we set ourselves up to somehow or another still be surrounding the holy. If we would try to think of the perfect shtetl, you would have the Beit HaKnesset in the center of it. That would be the perfect shtetl. And mentally, if we don't have the physical layout, it still should be our mental component. When we feel that that we are at some distance, neged actually implies a certain distance away, and that also might reflect something about ourselves, right? That we can't always, sometimes we might feel a bit distant. And even in that, as I spoke about a number of years ago, even in the sense of being a distant, we have to be saviv. That's the Torah's terminology. We still know that we're surrounding something. That's the complicated reality of our religious lives. Mineged and saviv. So I hope that as we enter this Shabbat and begin Parshat Bamidbar and then come to Shavuot and just afterwards, we can position ourselves, our mental space, around the things that really are powerful and important, even if we're a little bit distant from it, to nonetheless create the relationship that comes with mineged and saviv, and thereby have, and through that have, a very powerful and meaningful Shavuos, but more importantly, more powerful and meaningful religious life. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom and a Chag Sameach.